Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business builder, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $10 million a year. All right, welcome to episode 111. We're heading in, this is the 5th week of the month in August 2023. So this is the freebie week. This is where we're going to take a look at some of the different things that are coming up for next month, talk a little bit about it, and then also do a lot of review of what I've been working on throughout this month to wrap up everything and talk about some of the things that I've really focused on new now. So looking at the books that I'm working on, I am still going through The Wealthy Consultant. Now, this is not the first time I'm going through it. Many of you are probably, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that I've been talking about The Wealthy Consultant by Taylor Welch for quite a while. That's because as small as this book is in terms of thickness, there's so much material that you really have to wrap your head around. And it's pretty fascinating to actually watch how he's doing what he's doing, writing through the book and realizing where he's coming from through this process. So that's the first book. Then there are two other books that one was already previously released and one just recently was released. These are by Alex Hormozi, who is well known for his gym launch program that he helps gym owners actually build up their gym the right way. He himself has, lots of experience doing this, him and his wife Layla, and they are fascinating people. I've been following them indirectly since the days of Russell Brunson, so several years ago. And he just recently released a book called $100 Million Leads, and it builds on the $100 million offers that he has already previously published. So I'm going through those books this month. Again, I'm going to dig into The Wealthy Consultant, try to wrap my head around that, and make all of this material really gel within my own business. And this is something that if you're a business owner and you haven't done this before, you should really be reading at least one book a month. I know, it takes time, it's a lot of things. But if you just start reading maybe 10 pages or even a chapter throughout a day or a week, you're going to see that many things that are challenges for you are being answered in the business books and in the knowledge base that's out there in the world. You don't have to go out, spend $1 billion buying books and weigh down your bookshelf left, right, forwards, and backwards. We have the technology now with Kindle and all the different options that are available, to review all this material and go through and read it. It keeps it, tracks it through the different machines that you're using. So be aware you should be reading. Number one, it keeps your brain going on. It keeps it very active, keeps it engaged. Even if you just did a day a week and just dedicated 1 hour, we have our choices in our schedule, and how we dictate our time is all up to us. Everybody has the same 24 hours. The difference is how many people actually use and control their schedule for their own benefit. Moving on out of the books now, I'm going to be covering a couple of different things that happened this week. I'm going to borrow some information from off of my different dashboards. I'm still working through Cash Flow for Consultants, which is a video series. It's a lot of material, a lot to cover. This one I'm not as invested in getting done right away. I'm working on it to try to embrace the knowledge of finance that is different from the revenue that we make. It's what happens after you make that revenue, that wealth building. And that's what the Cash Flow for Consultants program is all about. Working through my core KPIs, I started doing some different aspects of things. In my impressions and exposures section, we talked about this, the core KPIs, primarily your impressions, your exposures, your introductory conversations, your direct interaction with people, and then your sales. Each of those areas, you have different tactics and things that you can get done. Initially, when I started this, it was back at the beginning of the month, and I really wasn't doing an incredible amount of things. I was doing my podcast weekly, and that gets converted into a video. But I was doing posts of about 3 or 4 a day on an irregular basis, right? And I do like a batch email to my clientele and my direct markets. And so as I've gone through every week, I've been increasing this, whereas it was 3 or 4 intermittently. Now it's almost every single day. I'm putting out some material in posts. I'm putting out batch emails along with it. I'm doing at least 1 blog post a week. And I'm still sending out individual emails. And this week, in the wrapping up, I've still got tomorrow, but I've had 8 batch emails go out this month, 41 Facebook and alignable posts, 5 blog posts, 4 podcasts, 4 videos, and attended 2 events. In the process of doing this, I've been able in the last week to do a lot more outreach, and I'll give you some numbers about that. I've had 9 direct messages in the past week, 12 direct emails, and 1 text that I've been working through, doing this. And it doesn't make any difference if it comes from Facebook or LinkedIn. You can get it in many different ways. Social has many different aspects, and your core KPIs, as long as they're growing, that is the measure of what matters. And speaking of growing, now I'm using different things. I've got my Facebook group, my Facebook post, and then I also have started working Alignable. Now, in the last month, and I had almost nothing going on at the very beginning of the month. I literally had maybe 5,000 impressions where people kind of see what I write, maybe for the whole week. And that's because I wasn't really doing that much. Here I am in the end of the month, and I'm looking at, I made a total of 81 posts, comments, something, right? I've ended up in the last 2 weeks with over 50,000 views a week. I'm now up to 111,000 for the month. I've had 869 people click on my material, and most of it has come from groups and discussions. And, that's a great thing. I think out of 869, 709 have come from clicks in groups and discussion. So don't forget, when you're doing groups, there is value in helping other groups out there. And believe it or not, I've actually had 5 referrals this month where my material has been forwarded out to somebody else. That's kind of an impressive thing to me, to see that much difference of 5,000 a week for 3 weeks up to, 100,000 across 2 weeks. That's major. And there's a discrepancy if I look in my reporting from the total of 869 clicks. There are 65 clicks that have occurred in this course of this month that is coming from some other direction. And I haven't quite figured out what that is. But always do your numbers, get your reports, know what your key KPIs are doing for you, and be able to track that. Don't just say, well, I think it's this. Know what it is. There was another thing that came out of my KPIs is I had, several months ago, I had attempted to do some market research to really see if what I thought was important was what was important. And I had done a survey, I had put it out, and I broadcast it everywhere, and I got very little response. I got some, but not what I would call response. So what did I do? I went into a group called Ask SMB Owners Anything, and I took each of the questions that were in that survey, posted them as a question, and most of my questions now are generating between 100 and 169 responses. It's just phenomenal. I still have people that are responding to my question from the beginning of this week. And so I just basically took the questions of what would be a huge survey and found a way to post individual questions and get your feedback from that. That was lucky. I just kind of stumbled across it. So that was a major thing to really kind of enjoy. That's where a lot of my response came from, is these types of things where I'm answering people's questions, where I'm asking questions and getting information back. So that's for this week. Now, looking ahead and kind of wrapping up through this month, we're still dealing with the playbooks. Everybody should be building playbooks of your own. One of the easiest ways to maybe build a playbook for your email and your calendar, and I think I've mentioned this before, is just take your phone and put it right in front of your computer, and as you're doing your work, record what's going on. That tells somebody how you're thinking, not just what actions to take. It's how you're thinking, and you're having to explain this as you go. So the playbooks, I've been coordinating these with my VA, getting them started, put together. I've been doing more and more of the playbooks for my business. I'm kind of running out of some things right now because I'm spending a lot of time doing all of this reading, all of this writing, all of this content creation, as we call it. And then I'm also going through the peak productivity course through the Wealthy Consultant. I've moved out of the main program, the launch kit, and now I'm putting all the rest of the pieces in play, studying some of the other programs like Cash Flow for Consultants, like Peak Productivity, and getting involved in the there's another program that is put out where there's a lot of research about famous historical characters. And right now it's called Arena, and it's through the Wealthy Consultant. You can actually get it on a monthly basis. I think it's about $300 something a month. All of this research, all this information is done for you. Right now, I believe Taylor's working on Walt Disney, and he is on, I think, his fourth part now of this, or coming up on it. So that's what my brain kind of tells me. There's a lot of information that can give you perspective on how other business people are doing what they're doing. And that's kind of the overriding idea of the budding entrepreneur, is what has my journey been like? What am I going through? What am I learning, and how am I learning it? These are, it's a great thing to sit back and kind of watch the response that's occurring on my podcast. And that's very nice. So I wanted to talk about two more things that are relevant for moving into September. There's these key concepts they're not difficult. They're not hard to understand. One of them is money loves speed. If you are thinking about doing something, start it. Just start it. Be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to do the hard things that it's going to take, as long as you're aware of what's going on around you. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and really create a problem for yourself. But understand that money loves speed. And I agree. The faster you are to act, the better you're going to get your results. And you're going to get them faster. And they'll generate more money for you. Now, money is a tool. It's not an end in itself. If you have all the money in the world and you live a crappy life, hey, that's on you, right? So you want to be careful that you're not creating a situation where money is your focus. You hear people kind of comment about money being the root of all evil, but it seems to me that what that real quote is the love of money is the root of all evil. When you no longer love the people and things that are happening in your life, you're in a bad place. And the other key concept that I was given just recently. This one, I've heard Money Loves Speed a lot, but this one was kind of a new characteristic for me. And it was a statement by Taylor Welch. If you want to make more money, you need to embrace responsibility. And that's what is happening for all of us as business owners. Even if we're a business leader, we're not actually running the company, we're helping to set the direction that the success of that business is built on. And so if you can embrace responsibility, then that gives more reason for whoever is at the top to reward you. And again, if you want to make more money, embrace responsibility. Take some of the responsibility off of the shoulders of the person who's wearing it 100% 24/7, 365. So these are great key concepts. Going and just talking about this for September, I've continued working through the lead process. I'm going to be digging into the offers process for Alex Hormozy. I unfortunately was not available for the broadcast that he did for his new training programs, and it was the book launch for $100 million leads. I'm kicking myself because there were a lot of things about that were wonderful, and not just because it had a lot of time that he gave good ideas and good meaning to what's happening here. At the end, he gave away all of his programs for free to the people who attended. If you didn't attend, you didn't get it. So kind of kicking myself for that one. And, we all make mistakes. We have to make choices in our time. And if your time is being spent with your loved ones, with your family, like I'm dealing with something right now that I'm having to spend a lot of time doing. And the choices that you make in your life, there will be benefits and there will be drawbacks to everything. That's part of why when the concept is, if you have something to do, just do it. Get it started. Don't wait. I see a lot of people that plan. And then I say, okay, so what did you do? Well, I didn't get anything done. Whoa, hold on. You planned. So your plan was all you got done. Well, yes. Did you try anything? No. And this is my favorite employee in every company. Not yet. Have you done this? Not yet. It's kind of like when you have a kid, how did this get broken? Not me. And it's like, okay, well, who's not me? Show me where not me is, And so this is the same kind of concept. Not yet. Don't fall into that trap. If you haven't done it, then the question is, did you prioritize it? Did you make time for it? Did you actually get something done for it? And so September is going to be a lot about this, putting all this information in play, putting all these steps in play, continuing to focus on my family, my podcast, my own health, and establishing daily habits. I'm going to have to make some changes in my life that are going to be painful because I'm finding that getting out of bed at 5 or 6 in the morning gives me 3 to 4 unadulterated hours where I'm not bugged even by the people next door that are the gardeners. I'm not bothered. I can focus. I don't get lost in my email and my calendar and all that stuff because I've set that aside. My assistant is handling that. I'll get to it later on when I get a break. And I'm still looking at my goal of, $20,000 a month for right now to start, but I'm still working towards $10 million a year. That's why it's in my podcast. It's not something that is not attainable. I see a lot of people do it. And all that matters is they're doing something better than I'm doing it, or they're doing something that I'm not doing. So on the Budding Entrepreneur Facebook page, I've been posting my whiteboard every time I do one of these podcasts. And It's a visual representation of how that podcast is built, what's happening. A friend of mine, in fact, several people said, stop. I was looking at using the whiteboard and get rid of it, and they said, no. Don't do that. That's the personality, your thinking process, your overall process. And it's one part of the learning process. People learn by what they see, they learn by what they hear, and to a great extent, they learn by how they feel or what they feel. And so hearing the podcast is great for that. The whiteboard gives the visual representation of what is inside of here. So somebody can snapshot that and look at it and go, oh, I got exactly what that is. So be willing to put different ways out there of knowledge of what you're doing and use your material over and over again. Take concepts that you have in your podcast. And that's the thing that's going on in September for me is I'm going to start looking at topics for the month. Something that Alex Hormozy pointed out is come up with something of topics or at least a very large topic and then split it up. Do, maybe one long podcast and maybe 2 long videos and maybe have one of those long videos chopped up into small pieces. And then you have content that's available throughout the month. So you're not killing yourself trying to be a content creator because you're sitting there going, God, I got to do this every single day. Plan out your schedule of your topics for the whole month. I have actually 2 different topic Excel spreadsheets for the month of September because I want the ability to think about what I'm doing broader than just, okay, this is one topic and this is one topic and this is one topic. It's, okay, I've got one set of topics over here for one type of focus, training, and another set of topics over here focusing on learning. What are we all learning in the course of what we're doing? So not just training, but also learning and building that calendar of material. And then you can use things like ChatGPT to give you some ideas. You don't have to, it's not a good idea to have them write your material, but it's a good idea to get ideas and start building your own list of content. Do it for the whole month. I mean, if ChatGPT can come up with it in probably 10 minutes, and you just have to get really specific on what you're trying to do. So the ability to build topics, you are the one that's controlling the focus. And that's key. As you do this, when you're doing your work, everything you do is a reflection of you. That's why I like this kind of a podcast. I've run my own transcriptions through ChatGPT to get an analysis of what I do. And I can compare my speaking style. I can compare my writing style. When I'm doing posts, what is that style like? And be aware of that, because then that gives you a shortcut to create new content. And again, if you can use one long form thing and chop it up into small pieces, it makes your life a lot easier. So that's enough for episode 111. This is going to be the focus through September, trying to build out all of this material and create a theme almost. Instead of a daily theme or a weekly theme, it's going to be a monthly theme. I'll probably introduce it about halfway through September, knowing my schedule right now. So if you see some of these things change a little bit, that's probably what's going on, is I'm introducing a new theme, and we're going to start talking about that. So for the budding entrepreneur, this is Randy Bridges wishing you the best in your health, your wealth, your family, your business, everything about you. Take care, and we'll talk real soon.